Hey Lucifans, I'm Steph with Creation and welcome back to our virtual weekend featuring the cast of Lucifer. Just wanted to remind you that the top tipper wins a 5-minute one-on-one meet and greet with Tom Welling right after this panel. So make sure your top supporter information is updated with your current email address. To find that, just under the Stage It screen, you'll see a little trophy icon. Just to the right of that, you'll see a green link that says complete your top supporter information. And if you'd like to tip, click the green tip button on the bottom left-hand corner of your Stage It screen. And remember that tipping ends as soon as the panel is done. So any tips made after that will not be counted. All right, next up today is someone who is no stranger in front of and behind the camera. We know him as Kane, as well as Clark Kent from Smallville. Please welcome Tom Welling.
Hi.
Hey, Tom.
Marcus Pierce in the house.
That's right. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for including me in the Lucifer panel. I love this show. I loved working with everybody on it. I mean, I was a fan of the show before I got on the show, and so when I had the opportunity to be on it, it was a no-brainer.
Did you have an idea of the character you were going to play? Were you excited?
I was definitely excited. What we did is with Joe and Ildy, who wrote the show, the showrunners, they slow played the information about my character to me on purpose, because as you know, during the beginning of that season, you don't know who this guy is, and I like that idea where you don't know who somebody's going to be, and so I kind of saw 3 or 4 scripts at a time. For me, the big revelation that my character was Sinnerman, that was like cool. And then later I found out that he was actually Cain from the Bible, and I got to experience that as a revelation just as much as the fans did.
Oh, that sounds a lot of fun. Well, your fans are dying to ask you some questions, so can we jump into that? All right, our first question is from Tiger Lily 248. Hi Tom, hope you're well. Did you get to keep any items from either Smallville or Lucifer?
I'm sorry, I have a horrible answer to that question. No, I'm not a klepto kind of guy. However, now that I have a son and another baby on the way, I wish I would have kept a couple things from both, just so they can see them later. But no, Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor on Smallville, he would take my things and take them home, and he has like a museum or a mausoleum, so to speak, of everything. But no, but going forward, any other projects, I'm going to steal a lot of stuff.
Was there anything that you wish you would have taken but didn't? Obviously you didn't, but is there anything you wish you would have taken?
I wish I would have taken the police badge that Pierce had. I thought that was cool, and the gun that he used, because we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what kind of gun a guy like that would have who's been around forever. And what his choice of weapon was. There was a lot of discussion about that. So I wish I would have kept it, but then again, they don't let you just take guns off sets.
I can imagine that. All right, the next question is from Rasa. She says, Hi. In Smallville, did anyone ever play a prank on you with the lightweight props and then swap them out for the real thing? Hugs from Latvia.
No, not that I recall someone played it on me, but we did. Greg Beeman, who was one of our showrunners and one of our best directors, his son was about 10 years old, and he visited set one day, and we were in a gymnasium weight room, and the weights in there are all fake. You got these 45-pound plates that go on a bench press machine, and there were like 4 on there, but they're styrofoam. And I went over and I said, "Come on over," and I couldn't. I'm like, "Oh, I can't lift this. Can you lift this?" And he goes, and he lifted it over his head, and it was really great to see that, in that moment, that 10-year-old was the strongest person in the world.
That's great. Okay, the next question is from Oxan. Hello, Tom.
Hi.
How was it to play Clark Kent again for the Arrow crossover last year? Lots of love from France.
Thank you, France. Love France. It was really fun. I mean, I'd always been hesitant to revisit the character, but the way that they wrote it and what they wrote, I thought really sort of wrapped it up in a sense. And I tried to infuse a little bit of the Jonathan Kent character with the gloves and the way I kind of moved, because I think that's who Clark would have grown up to be a lot like his father. So it was a lot of fun. It was the right way to do it, I think, and it serviced the character that I played for 10 years. It wasn't me showing up on some other show or some version of that character. So it was very nice. And going back to the Kent farm, that was cool because like I knew that place better than anybody. It was fun.
Did you find it easy to get back into the character?
I wouldn't say it was easy because he had evolved. He was different. I mean, I love the idea that he had children. You know, him and Lois were married, but what I really liked, what worked for me, is that John Cryer's Lex Luthor, when he said "I'm Lex Luthor," it was very easy to say no, you're not, because to me he's not the Lex Luthor that I know. So like I said, it was so well written that it all flowed from my character's perspective. So I don't know. I don't want to say it's easy, but it felt good.
Well, I know we all enjoyed watching that.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question is from Jenny Sun 23. What is a place you love going to for vacation?
Wow. Well, these days, my house. I mean, but I guess the easy answer would be New Zealand. My wife Jessica and I, we went there before we were married for about a month, and we traveled, and I can't get enough of it. I can't wait to go back.
All right. This next question is Gabby Magam from Brazil. If Kane/Pierce came back from the dead, what would be the first thing he would do?
Well, I love that idea because I think he should come back. And in this world, this Lucifer world, he could. I would love to come back on the show. That's not up to me. It's maybe up to the fans. Wink, wink. But I think I'd like to see him come back and be of some use to Lucifer somehow, because he wasn't useful to Lucifer before. I mean, yeah, there was a little bit of, teamwork going on there, but I would like to see Lucifer stuck, and then somehow Kane shows up to help him, or Pierce shows up to help him. I think that would be a fun twist. That
would be fun. Okay, our next question is from Heba152 from Morocco. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Oh, Morocco, sweet. You must. What time is it?
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, enjoy it. Enjoy it. I know this is a Lucifer panel, but on Smallville, it was so busy and it was so chaotic. I think it's only now that I'm looking back and remembering all the good times. And I mean, like, I'm not complaining, but there's a way that you have to grow up in life in general where you have to enjoy what you're going through, even if it's difficult. So, but again, I didn't know that then. So I guess that may enjoy it. I mean, but you can tell people that when they're younger, but they don't know what you're talking about.
That's so true. That's so true. I mean, if we can only tell ourselves that and go, don't forget.
Yeah.
All right. The next question is from Aiden from Turkey. Is there any moment that you'll never forget?
I mean, I hope there's a lot, especially when it comes to my son and, my life. I mean, as far as like Lucifer goes,
on the set of Lucifer.
On the set of Lucifer, let's see. I mean, there's so many moments. I don't know which one I wouldn't want to not. I don't want to forget any of them, but okay, so there was a day that we were shooting. It was when, I forget the name, but there was a serial killer. I think it was episode 4 or 5 that I was in or whatever. And it was from my character's past. And that day, you won't see it on camera, but my wife rode her horse 2 hours from where the horse is to set and visited us at lunch with her friend. And that's a moment, I mean, all of a sudden I'm like, hey, my wife's coming to visit. And I told everybody, like, don't not let her in. And by the way, she's coming in on a horse. And they're like, yeah, whatever. And here she comes riding a horse through security not on the set, but behind the cameras. And there she was, and Tom and Lauren and everybody came over, and that's the first time they met my wife. And they're like, "Wow, your wife is awesome. She just shows up on a horse." I'm like, "That's how I roll. Like, let's go."
She made quite the entrance.
Yeah, so I don't want to forget that. Yeah.
Oh, how could you forget that? So that's amazing. Okay, our next question is from Soulfire Photo. Hello from Brisbane, Australia.
Oh.
Did Kane have a favorite Brock in his collection?
So that's a funny question because the scene where Deckard comes to Pierce's house and she comes in the door and the line I like rocks, or I love rocks, that was my idea, and only because we were there blocking the scene, and before I opened the door I turned around, there was all these rocks there because they're supposed to symbolize that he had been around forever, and that's the only thing that also lasts are rocks and whatnot. Now, first I thought, well, shouldn't they all be diamonds? But that's another story. But I opened the door in the rehearsal, and Lauren hadn't seen into the room yet. And so I'd opened the door, and she looks at me, and she looked past me, and I could tell that she was like, "What are those?" So I turned around, and I was like, "I like rocks." And so that's where that line came from, and I'm glad they kept that in because it was a lot of fun. But I think that I don't think there was one in particular. In fact, going back to the other question, I should have kept a couple of those. Those would have been good keepsakes. Yeah, they were all cool. They were all cool.
So do you have a personal rock collection? Is that where it came from?
I don't have, no. I don't collect rocks. However, at our house here, we do have some quartz and some things that come up as we, dig and do things, and there's a river nearby. But my wife has some crystals, which are cool, and she knows all about them, and I don't, but they're fun, and we enjoy that.
They're fun and healing too.
Apparently, and you got to put them out on a full moon to charge them. There's like this whole thing, and it's fun.
Yeah, well, good.
Water them.
All right, the next question is from Sophia from Russia.
Cool.
Who do you like to play more, the bad guys or the good guys?
Oh, well, the bad guys are always fun, but bad guys don't ever think they're bad, if you think about it that way. And I learned that from John Glover, who played Lionel Luthor, and even Michael Rosenbaum. It's like, and you can even go back to like Christopher Walken and things that he's talked about, or like bad people don't think they're bad. But the fun thing about playing a bad guy is their purpose is very clear, like what they're going after. When you play a good guy, a lot of times you're not sure what you're doing. You're just trying to stop other people from what they're doing, if that makes any sense. So I think I would like to play more bad guys in the future for sure, or at least textured or dynamic characters, and that's usually what bad guys are.
Yeah, there's always a purpose and a reason what motivates them to do what they're doing, right or wrong.
Well, that's the problem with bad people is they don't understand they're bad.
Meanwhile, we're like, you're bad.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
All right. The next question is from Silk. How often did you have to practice the fight scenes? How long did it take you to prepare for your fight scenes?
The big one I had in the big one I had on Lucifer was with the meta deal. And I think there was about 4 or 5 hours of, previously before we shot that day to practice that. So I guess that's the answer. But I love those days. Like stunt days are my favorite days because I don't know. I like the physicality of it. I like the energy of it. Those are my most enjoyable days.
Well, on that note, on the physicality note, this question is from Allison Colthorpe. Do you have a strenuous workout routine you had for Smallville or Lucifer, and what was it?
Oh yeah, I mean, this is really cutting into my workout. This whole situation. I'm an active guy. When I know something's coming up, there's a way to sort of taper and get into shape for it and be active. But I'm very rarely sitting still anyway. I mean, even if I don't have a project going, I'm hiking or fishing or running around or chasing chasing my son. So it's very hard for me to not be active, and that's a big part of it. And especially for Smallville, I was so young, I didn't have to do much. I would imagine now if, like, for some reason they were like, okay, now you're Thor, I'd be like, okay, well, I need a couple months for that. But you can do it, you know. But yeah, I just try to stay healthy as and active.
Well, definitely chasing a 2-year-old will burn a lot of calories.
Yeah.
All right. Our next question is from Rebecca C123. Hi, Tom. Was there any code names on set when you were working with Tom Ellis to avoid confusion?
Yes, I was. So because it's Tom's show, it's Tom Ellis' show. I mean, he's Lucifer, and it was literally the first day. It was Tom and Tom, and I'm like, listen, I'm Welling, you're Tom, and he was like, okay, cool, like, and it was agreed upon. But I'm like, this is your show, like, you're not Ellis, and I'm Tom, as I'm a guest on your show. So, yeah, that's a very good question, and we did work that out. I think within about 30 seconds, I was like, I'm Welling, you're Tom, everybody, let's carry on.
That's understandable and fair.
Yeah.
All right. Our next question is from Krista Martin. How was working with Steve Martin? No relation. And do you have any fun stories from filming? And
yeah. So when I did Cheaper Than a Dozen, I just wanted to work. I just wanted to meet Steve Martin, and so when I was able to do that movie, I was like, I'm in. And my funny story from that is I was leaving at the beginning of the movie. There's this old Victorian house that they live in. And what you don't see in the movie is down from it, there's this big horse property, and the horses were there and whatnot. And it was a lunch break or whatnot, and I left the house to come down to where the circus was, or where the trailers are. And around the corner from another trailer, I heard a banjo playing. And I was like, where's that coming from? And I walk around the corner, and I see Steve Martin playing a banjo with a horse with its head over the fence, an inch away from the banjo. And the horse is just watching and listening this far away from Steve's and he's playing the banjo. And I just stood there in awe because it was cool on many levels. And then when he was done and the horse sort of walked away, and I said to him, I go, when did you start playing the banjo? I didn't know that he played the banjo. He goes, well, 30 years ago, I figured if I start today in 30 years, I'd be good at it. And that's the brilliance of Steve Martin. That's his comedy. I mean, he's such a brilliant mind that he doesn't tell jokes, but his perspective on everything is so funny that a lot of times it doesn't result in laughter. It results in your brain sort of shifting and seeing a different perspective. And he's a great guy. He's fantastic. Yeah.
Is he just as funny in person? I mean, everything he says is kind of off the cuff, it seems. Were you laughing all the time talking to him?
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of times before a scene where I would try to not ignore him. That sounds bad, but I would try to not focus on him because he just has that brain that keeps working. And Bonnie Hunt is like on steroids with that. She's just so quick. And for me, there's people that I've worked with in the past they can jump right in and out of cuts. I need a little focus before and in between. So I kind of had to close myself off a little bit. And as a fan of Steve Martin, I wish I would have not done that because I may have missed out on a couple of things. But being around him is just as amazing as you would think it would be.
Well, that sounds great. And another follow-up question, was the horse the same horse that your wife rode?
No, no, different horses, different times, but that's a very good question. Yeah.
All right. Next question is from Chrissy T. Kryptonite is Superman's greatest weakness. What is your greatest weakness or guilty pleasure?
I mean, it's not the same thing. I'm a big fan of sleep, and I'm not saying sleep the day away, but I like to nap. I think it's good for you, and I feel like I'm better after a little nap, a midday nap, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes. So that would be my guilty pleasure. I like my naps. My kryptonite, popcorn, comes to mind. I love popcorn. Like, I can't not have it. But I'm not an ice cream guy or a brownies guy. But I'm a salty steak kind of guy.
So like regular popcorn or popcorn with flavor?
It's there's a very specific popcorn that I like. It's Amish popcorn. It comes from Pennsylvania, and I found this. I've looked into this, and they have 15 different types of kernels. This is such a weird thing to talk about, but it's so good and so clean, if that makes any sense. A lot of times it's just salt and olive oil. I used to use butter. Now it's just a little good olive oil, a little bit of salt, and then you're good. But yeah.
Now I'm craving popcorn. I'm sure everybody's craving popcorn right now.
I am too.
All right. The next question is from Emma Brands from the Netherlands. If you could live forever, what is the most dangerous thing you would be excited to do?
Skydiving, because I have friends who've done it. It's not that I feel like I could do it. I calculated the risks, and it's not maybe worth it for me. I don't know. But I think that if you were like, you're going to live forever, I'd be like, cool, I'm going skydiving tomorrow.
I don't know. I don't think I'd ever do that.
Yeah.
All right. The next question is from Mary V. She wanted to ask, what are new things that you have learned about yourself during the pandemic?
Ooh, so many things. I think I've battled with anxiety and being calm about just everything and just to breathe. I think I've gotten better at just sort of harnessing what's in front of me and being a productive person. I think I've become more productive, like moment to moment. And I still battle with like, but what am I going to do next? What's the next project? What's the next work? And I've gotten better at managing that. So I think I've maybe wised up a little or calmed down. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I don't know. I'm one of those people that's actually really enjoying this and being home and being with my family. So I don't have a lot of complaints, but at the same time, I still want to get back to work at some point. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, the next question is from Kayla. If you could choose to be on any other TV show, which would you choose?
Ooh, dang, that's a good question. I'm a fan of so many shows. I mean, I love Billions. I love Ray Donovan. I wish that could come back somehow. Man, Magnum PI, the original. Maybe that's where this comes from. But yeah, I love television. I love the storytelling. I love that over the course of so many episodes, you get to learn who these characters are. But yeah, that's what comes to mind first. Miami Vice. I mean, the original Miami Vice with Don Johnson. I grew up on that.
Well, we'd watch you in anything you do.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sure anything you do would be incredible.
Yeah, and Lucifer. I should throw that in.
Yeah. All right. The next question is from Akila Tate. What's the most romantic thing you've ever done?
I don't know. I mean, I think you should probably ask my wife that question. I mean, getting married is pretty romantic, or proposing, that whole scenario. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of flowers. I love gifting my wife flowers and anything that makes her happy.
How did you propose?
On my knee.
All right, that works.
In front of her mother. Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, nice. All right, next question is from Luisa from Brazil. Do you think Lucifer tortured Pierce in hell after his return?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, I hope so. I mean, what? I don't think Pierce was sent away to a beach listening to, the Eagles or eating popcorn all the time. I think he's very much tortured, and there was a lot of conversation about what hell is, and hell is like this repeating thing of your own self torture. And Pierce probably deserved it a little bit.
It would probably be unpopped kernels, no salt, and no olive oil.
I have this popcorn, but I can't pop it. Yeah, exactly.
All right, the next question is from Amelia Lucy. Hugs from Poland. She's sending hugs from Poland.
Very international. I love it.
Yes.
You're definitely not getting enough sleep.
Okay. Her question is, if you could be the one to decide Kane's fate, what would it be?
That's the funny thing about the character. I don't think he ever knew. I think this constant restlessness. I mean, he had centuries to figure out what his jam was, and I think he tried a bunch of different things. And I think there might be a TV show in there where you get to see Kane at different times and different centuries, and him trying to figure things out, because there's a growth pattern there where I think that would be fun to watch as a television show. But I don't know. I mean, on Lucifer, the whole idea is he was just trying to stop living until he fell in love, with Lauren's character, and then he found a purpose again. And I think finding that purpose through other people is a beautiful thing. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe a family with Decker, perhaps.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Maybe a spin-off show. Okay, the next question is Tom W. for Life.
Oh.
Can you tell us about your time filming The Professionals, and where can we watch it?
Okay, so good point. So we've shot 10. We already shot 10 episodes down in Africa. It was a very challenging, amazing shoot. It's very funny. It's me and Brendan Fraser. I've seen all the episodes. They're not all released yet. It's very frustrating for me. I'll be honest. I'll go on the record. It pisses me off because I want people to watch it. But there's some distribution deals that still have to be made for the show to be released. But I mean, I want the fans to see it because we went down there, we did it, and it's fun, and I really like it. I think people will like it. So I don't know the answer, and that's frustrating because I get a lot of people asking me about it, and I'm waiting just like you guys are, and it sucks.
Well, I know we can't wait, and you will announce it when we're able to.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the next one is from Bloody Valentine. Ooh. What is your personal favorite of Clark Kent's supernatural power, and why?
I was a big fan of super speed. A lot of people are like, oh, X-ray vision, but like, yeah, it's kind of naughty. The super speed I really liked. Getting, just having to just go places real fast. That was always, I like that.
Yeah, you were almost as fast as teleporting.
Right?
Yeah. All right, next question. Do you think that Lucifer and Kane can be friends?
Yes.
There wouldn't be any rivalry, or?
I mean, I think there would always be a little bit. I can totally see Lucifer's point of view about how Kane really just doesn't deserve the attention. But then again, who doesn't want the attention more than Lucifer? But going back to the earlier question, I think if Kane could be helpful to Lucifer, I think Lucifer would take him up on that.
And that would make them be friends for sure.
Yeah, but Lucifer's so entertaining. He's such a fun character, and Tom does such a great job in not only on set, like in between takes, but he's extremely talented, and he's the reason that character pops. I mean, that energy you feel from Lucifer, that's Tom. That's not. I'm not saying it's not written well, because it is, but Tom brings that charm that nobody else could.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, we have time for one more question, and it is from Yasmin. Have you ever pranked someone or been pranked on set, and what happened? Love from England.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of pranks. I didn't do it on Lucifer because it wasn't, I've said this before, it wasn't my show. But so I was a guest. I was very much a guest there. But on Smallville, I had a little more wiggle room. But we had an AD. It was his first day on set, and we pranked him over the radio, saying that Tom's waiting for you outside of his trailer. Can you go meet him? And we were watching through a little window of visibility, and he was standing there. And I'd get on the radio. I'm like, Tom's waiting for you. Where are you? And he was like, you could, physicality wise, you could see how frustrated he was. And then on the radio, he'd go, I'm waiting right here. I'm just waiting for him to come out. And then I'd be like, well, Tom's outside of his trailer. Where are you? And we got to see him get really frustrated. And it's, listen, it probably wasn't that much fun for him, but after the gag was up, he was able to relax, and we're like, welcome to the family. And he stayed with us for years after that. Not because of that, but we just wanted to razz him a little bit to make him feel comfortable.
That was probably, he was probably really nervous when, especially first AD, you're going, I got to get this right. And then all of a sudden,
right. Like day one, your only job is to not mess up. And
That's right. Well, Tom, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. You're an absolute pleasure. And we can't wait to meet you in person in Jersey.
Thank you.
Back safely to come back.
Please, let's go.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. We can't wait to see more of your work, and you have a full day coming up with your meet and greets and your chats. So we'll see you in a bit. Thank you, Tom Welling.
Thank you, Steph, and thank you for everybody around the world. This is so international. This is so cool. Thank you all for staying up or getting up early. I'll hopefully see you all throughout the next couple hours.
Well, we love you. Thank you so much, Tom.
Thank you.